All right.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for our Youth and Young Adult Taleem Sunday stream. My name is Fatima Ali. I'm hosting today. Today we have Imam Mujahideen and Sister Marcia Nibbins on from New Freedom Exchange, and they'll be sharing with us some of the really awesome interfaith dialogue and community building activities that they're engaged with the folklore movement. And we're so excited to have you on today. Assalamu alaikum to you both.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'd love to start off just by asking the question, what is the folklore movement for those members of the audience who may not be familiar?
I'm tossing that one to Imam Mujahideen. Also, although I could give you sort of like a very brief and generic explanation of what the folklore movement is. From what I understand about the group, it's they are an international organization of Muslims. You hear what I'm saying? Of Catholics who. Their sort of theme is about unity and like universal brotherhood, and it's so interesting as I learn more and more about them, how a lot of their tenets are closely connected to ours in Islam.
MashaAllah. Ooh, Imam Mujahideen, you're muted.
Check mic. Okay.
We can hear you.
So alhamdulillah, thank you for having us on your platform and speaking to your community for this Taleem. My experience with the folklore is how I know them. I mean, but they have their website, they have their mission, like all that's there. But my experience or our experience with the folklore, I'll speak. My experience with the folklore started back when I was a young adult. I think I was maybe a freshman in high school or maybe an eighth grader. We got introduced to them. And when I mean our community got introduced to them by Imam Muhammad historic meeting at Masjid Malcolm Shabazz in 1997. And it was the convening of Imam Muhammad and our community and Kiara Lubick, who is the founder of the folklore in their community. And the Imam welcomed. There's a whole backstory to that. I don't know if we have time for that, but there's a whole backstory of how they two met. Which is very interesting and unique. But that was the first time that our two communities met, was at Malcolm Shabazz Mosque in 1997. And our group Next Now, which is the next generation of those of Imam Muhammad community and the folklore, we've actually just celebrated 25 years. And we'll probably talk about that later on as well. But in that meeting, that historic meeting, there was what they call the pact, where the two leaders committed to each other and to their community and to their Lord that they would continue this pact of unity, of one faith, of one human family, though we may have different faiths. We may express our love and our responsibility to our Lord differently, but we are connected as a human family. And so that historic pact is what has continued all the way up till today.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
I wanted to add something else too, because I guess I didn't always understand what the folklore was in relation to like what other Catholic, I guess, I don't even know if I call them denominations, but you know how you have Jesuits and you have these different sort of what it seems like, I guess, a sect or a movement in the Catholic Church. Folklore is one of those two, right? So you have the Jesuits and you have the Franciscans and you have, this. Folklore is another one of those approved through the Catholic Church. So that's sort of like in a nutshell way to explain it. And I wasn't always conscious of that in the beginning. I just knew that I was working with a group of people who were of the Catholic tradition, and we had some really, cool things in common in terms of the impact we wanted to make in society.
Alhamdulillah and MashaAllah. That's a beautiful relationship. And for those who are curious, there you can read more on the history of our community's relationship with the Folklore movement. Imam Mujahideen, I know you mentioned the Next Now movement or the Next Now community, and I know that's the community where our community, the Warthabin Muhammad community, is doing all of the collaboration with the Folklore movement. Can you tell us more about the Next Now and what kind of activities that you're engaged in?
Yeah, so let me take a little step back and then we'll get right back to that because it will tie
Absolutely.
in, right? So we went to 97. There was other events throughout those two leaders' life before they both passed. They actually both passed, as we know, Imam Muhammad Rahimahullah, he passed in 2008. She also, Kiara Luke, passed in earlier 2008. That same year, those of both communities wanted to continue this pack. And so I was fortunate to be one of those who went over with the delegation to meet their new leader. And we had a group of about 20 or more of us from our community. There were imams, there were educators, there were some young adults with myself, Sister Ndidi, and a few others. And we renewed the pact between our two communities. And so from that period, 2008 till now, there's also been different events between our two communities collectively throughout the country. Within the past 2 years, I would say since COVID, there's been just this interest to regenerate. And I have to shout out what I call my community mother, Sister Sherry Umrani. She was very responsible, very crucial and responsible for me even going on that first trip and also keeping a relationship with the Folklore. And so she called me in with those other pioneers who were a part of that group, Imam Mikhail Sahir, Judge David Judge Shahid, Imam, I don't want to forget, it was quite a few people. And they wanted the next generation to take on more responsibility of the relationship. And so it was really just a buzzword. It started out with Imam Mikhail saying, like, the next is now, and you all are that group. And so that's how we got the name Next Now. And so Sister Marsha and Imam Bilal and myself, we have our New Freedom team, and people were still kind of iffy about doing in-person events. And so we said, well, we could streamline it. We could put it on our platform. And so that's how they came on board. And Sister Muslima, who's also part of our association out of Columbus, Ohio, and then a few of the Folklore members. We all formulated together. It's about 7 or 8 of us. We call ourselves the Next Now group. And for the last 2 years, we've been working together doing virtual events. We had some in-person retreats. We actually just came back from San Antonio not too long ago for one of their conferences. They invited us to their conference to introduce this relationship of dialogue, this unique relationship of dialogue.
MashaAllah. Let me see. Sister Marsha, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that backstory of the relationship that you guys have?
Yeah. The only thing I would add is that if you're a part of the New Freedom team, you kind of don't get a chance to not be involved in the things that that Mujahideen brings to the group. It's kind of like he brings it and you're like, okay, what's this? But I'm a part of it too. And so for me, so I didn't grow up in the Muslim community. I didn't grow up Muslim, right? And so a lot of things about Imam Muhammad's community and a lot of the relationships and a lot of the history, initially I'm not privy to or connected to, right? So I'm learning now, right? And I didn't quite know, what this relationship with the Folklore was all about. But it was so easy to come right into what was already established and move forward with all of the initiatives. Next Now is a really, really good group of people who just work to do things that, are going to be impactful. The one thing that I will say that I've noticed about both of our communities is that we sort of walk similar paths in what we're going through, right? To some extent, they have, they're in this space of how to engage young people, right? Their community had gone through, much like ours, where there was a big it was more prominent that young people were leading the charge. And so as those people grew older, translating that same vigor and that same passion for the work hasn't been easy. And it's so interesting to see those parallels that exist between where we are as a community and where they are as a community. And it's on some levels, and we actually just had we are going to be featured in a book, and Imam Mujahideen can talk a little bit more about this. But in being interviewed for this book, one of the questions was like, well, it was something to the tune of, what do you admire? And maybe the word wasn't admire, but like, what do you see in the other group that is admirable for you? And so for me, I was saying that I when in terms of our relationship with Focolare, I see in a lot of their work how they incorporate their faith into like all the walks of life, right? So when they're thinking about sustainability of the earth, they're connecting that to their faith. When they're thinking about impacting homeless, they're connecting that to their faith. And that's something that I admire about them. And then they shared on their end what they admired about us. And for us, it was about that. Actually, it was connected to the faith piece as well. They were very much impressed by, how, everything begins with prayer. And, we're so keen on incorporating that into like starts of meetings and, everything. So it's just interesting to see the parallels that exist between the two communities, and in how like we're in the ebbs and flows of things. How do we now start to engage young adults more? And they're on that same journey.
It sounds like there are so many. It sounds like the parallels feel like also like ties between the communities, like connect what can be seen as connecting fabric, and with those parallels, there's the opportunity to meet each other on our journeys and support each other on our journeys as communities.
Yeah, and you would think, because people, I just think about like how I observe how people are in general, right? So you wouldn't necessarily think that the Muslims are hanging out with the Catholics, right? You just like, what are they doing together? How do they even find this commonality? What is the commonality? We were together in Harlem. Yes, we were together in Harlem. I guess that was last year. I don't know if it was early. It was last year. Okay, Josh is shaking his head. Yeah. So last year, and we're just up and down the street walking together, and I can just imagine people, wondering what's the tie between the group. But I think that with Next Now, and not just with Next Now, but with this relationship that was established between the Imam and Kiara Lubick, that the goal is to find what's common rather than look for what's different. And I think that's a choice. That's a choice that you make, right? You can seek to find the differences and choose not to work together based on those, or you can make the choice to find what's common and be more impactful to a larger number of people because of it.
Absolutely. Alhamdulillah. Building off of that, my next question for you guys would be, as Next Now, the young adult, our young adult community and the folklore young adult community come together and look for those commonalities and opportunities to build together. What initiatives are you guys engaged in, or what initiatives are coming from this connection and cross community building?
It was initially it was just to highlight our relationship, and while Marsha gives compliments about me bringing them in to what I'm connected to, Marsha also has to be complimented that whatever I'm connected to, any one of us connected to, it has to be a certain way, right? So you just can't free for all. We have to have some type of order. So Marsha and her leadership allowed our group to actually focus on three main things because we had a retreat the time when she mentioned we was in New York. We decided to meet up. Someone who couldn't make it, we were there virtually, but for the most part, most of us were able to make it in person. But we highlighted three specific things that we wanted to focus on as a group. Among all the other things that we could think about, like we talked about an act, we talked about building intentional communities, like all these things that come to our mind. But we honed in on three primary things, and one of them, the main one I'm going to talk about, and I'll let Marsha speak to the others, is that we wanted to support each other in our community's impact. So we know in our community we have national conventions, we have conferences, we have Muslim Journal Time to Be Grateful, and other events. So we decided, like, what is it that, or what event would complement our relationship for us to share our relationship to our community on our side, and then on their side, what event that they have that complements our relationship to present on their side. And so that's why we were down in San Antonio earlier this year. They had a leadership conference among their community because they're going through another transition. And so they welcomed us there, and we were able to present on a panel our two communities' dialogue of interfaith. And then, inshallah, God willing, we're inviting them, and they're coming to New Jersey for Muslim Journal Time to Be Grateful, again, to experience our relationship with our communities.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I know that, let me see, that sounds so dynamic, the two conference opportunities. And inshallah, if inshallah young adults are excited by this opportunity to go to like the Time to Be Grateful conference and tune into that conversation, inshallah. Are you guys doing a panel at the Time to Be Grateful, or are they just kind of joining and observing?
So we're trying to get a panel started. So all of the Time to Be Grateful initiatives or programs are being finalized now. But the goal is to be able to get them on a panel at the interfaith event that we'll be having. So inshallah, that will be able to happen. And then just in addition to doing these big events together, our goals are also to work together in engaging the young adults. Like that's the big push for both of us. Imam Jahdi mentioned that they're in a transition, much like us. You know, a lot of our community is aging. We need to engage the young adults more for sustainability. They're in that same space. So we want to be able to support each other as we both go through that. And then we also want to be able to do some sort of social justice work together. And in our planning, you know, you plan something and maybe it goes how you intended, maybe not. And we all know that Allah is the best of planners, right? So with the social justice initiative, that maybe that's going to happen a little further down the line. But the idea is to be able to do some sort of event together where we're able to be in the same space, or even if we were in different spaces, to be able to do that effort simultaneously, so that we're able to make the impact wherever we are locally. So we talked about all sorts of ideas, and I don't know where it'll land, but we could collect socks to give to soldiers. I know a lot of the schools do that. That came right to my mind. But we can also have a homeless feeding the homeless or something like that, something that we do together, right? That's a need that exists, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, it doesn't matter, right? We all have been out in the community and have seen people who have food insecurity, right? Or housing insecurity, or whatever that insecurity is. And that has no color, and it has no religion, and it has none of those identifiers that we ascribe to. And that's where we always seek to find the commonality, is how can we make the impact on that level? So 3 goals: to be able to engage young adults, to do a social justice project together, and then to be a part of each other's big events, on each other's community level. So a time to be grateful will be our contribution to that.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, here's a question for you guys. How can young adults uh, get involved in this community building or in your initiatives? What are some opportunities that are available? Ooh, can you guys hear me?
Can you hear me? My mic's a little. Yeah, I can hear you. um, I'm having. Am I coming across clear?
Yes.
My connection is going in and out. Oh, okay. Oh, that was my headset. Oh, okay. So yeah, initially, what you just did, reached out to us. I know Imam Bilal has shared with us the interest of you joining us, our efforts, and also the great work that you're doing, your leadership with the Muslim Culture Con. Connecting with different organizations that are already active. We were also fortunate, Marsha and myself were able to talk to the Mosque Cares Convention and other conferences and conventions that we're reaching out to. So, I mean, we can share our contact information, our email, to get caught up on our weekly or monthly. We have a monthly podcast where we both, from our two communities, go around. It's called Faith Communities Around the Word of Life. The Folklore, one of their practices is that they take a scripture, a Bible scripture, and they actually try to live it out intentionally throughout the whole month, and they give a reflection. And so what we did with Imam Macau's leadership, he actually created the Muslim Word of Life. And so we also attach ourselves to either writing one or promoting that via our podcast. And so all of you are welcome to join us. Normally, I think it's the last Sunday of the month, Eastern Standard Time. I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now we're actually integrating other topics, subtopics that include our faith. Last month we had one on AI and the faith community, responsible faith community. And so the first part, we're going to do reflections on the Word of Life, the Quranic verses and the Bible verses. And then the second half, we go over a topic that connects or addresses our faith community's insight with these issues. So those are the two main ways. You can reach out to us or you can participate via that platform.
Okay. So there's the Muslim Word of Life newsletter. There's the shared podcast that you guys do with the Folklore movement at the end of the month, where you talk about the Muslim Word of Life and I'm forgetting the title of the Folklores. Is it the Folklore Word of Life?
I think we just titled it that. I'm not sure.
Called the Word of Life.
Oh, just the Word of Life.
Okay. Where you talk about the Word of Life and the Muslim Word of Life together on a podcast platform, which sounds so exciting. And then for additional opportunities, reach out to Next Now.
Right. And then occasionally we do have town halls. I think we've done 2. I'm not sure we've done one.
I know we did one officially.
We attempted to do 2. But occasionally we'll have a town hall where we call on young adults to be a part of a discussion. And sometimes that's connected to something larger. Sometimes it's connected to something that's already happening, usually on the Folklores end, and so they want us to be a part of it as well. And so the ask is to be able to pull in young adults from our community to represent in that space. We actually had Zayd from Muslim Culture Con on one of those before, so that it was nice for us to have that representation. So sometimes the way to connect is through those town halls also.
Okay, town halls. That's very exciting. And when I connected with Imam Bilal, he mentioned that there might be opportunities for young writers or folks who are interested in writing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Yes, that's connected to the Muslim Word of Life. So currently, so when Imam Mujahideen was talking about the onset of the relationship between us and the Focolare, he mentioned a couple of different people who sort of led that charge or maintained the relationship. And so among that group, with Imam Mikel sort of leading the charge, they produce the Muslim Word of Life on a monthly basis. But we are helping to transition that so that more of us could contribute. So maybe one month I write it, maybe another month you could write it, maybe another month Imam Mujahideen can write it. We're open to that because that also is assisting our community in not having the work just be on one person or a small group of people. That way we can all contribute and play our part in the relationship. We know that this was a significant relationship that Imam Muhammad established, so much so that there was a pact created from it. And so that's a way that we continue to play our part to keep it going. And I know, as things go forward and go further into the future, sometimes it loses its initial essence, right?
Mhm.
And so how it may have been so impactful at the time where the two communities came together in Harlem in 1997. I think I have the date right, the year right. When the groups came together then, it may not feel exactly the same today, right? Because the people who are connected to it don't have that experience. Some people may have returned to Allah. Some people just may not be as involved in the relationship as they have been before. And with that being the case, this way we can continue, even if it's just in this, what appears to be a small connection, we can still keep it going because we know that it was significant to the people who are significant to us.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. When you speak on our ancestors were engaged in who were engaged in that relationship with the Focolare movement, or those in the parent generation who laid the foundation for us, I think of Masjid Warathuddin Muhammad's sister Musina. May Allah forgive her sins and grant her with paradise. She was very much engaged with the Focolare movement, and I just imagine her like smiling down on us as we engage in the work with the Focolare movement today. So,
And a
alhamdulillah.
lot of our community has that, right? There are pockets of the community where there was someone in that area who was very much connected, right? And then those who came after that person don't either don't understand or aren't as connected. And so we don't want it to lose its essence because there was a reason for establishing that pact.
Carrying and it now we have the opportunity to carry on the legacy, inshallah.
And that's another opportunity for young people to get involved, to actually get those stories. That's how I actually, outside of being involved, being there firsthand, I also got the backstory from doing. Um, I forgot we was doing some. Oh, when we was doing the 25th anniversary, I went around different places in the country to get the story from those who were there from the beginning. So I went down to Baltimore and talked to Imam Earl Alamin. I went to talk to Sister Layla Muhammad, Imam Muhammad's daughter, and others. They had that backdrop story. So if you have pioneers in your community that experience this relationship, please capture their story. That could be a project that you can lead or someone can lead, and we'll support that. It's open for that as well.
Alhamdulillah. This is so exciting. I want to ask you guys, where can folks find the podcast and the newsletter? And what's the best way to connect with you guys?
So I put New Freedom Works email, but you're right. I've been thinking about our socials. I mean, we have New Freedom Network. If you go to, I guess if you, we have to put together for it to be all in one place. I'll work with it. Thank you for the assignment. But right now you can go to YouTube or Facebook and put in New Freedom Network, and then you just put in I don't know if we tag as next now. You could put in faith communities around the word of life. But I'll work on that and I'll give you that, or have Bilal give that to you, and then you can send it to your network.
That would be fantastic. Inshallah, we'd love to take all of your socials or the websites where folks can connect with you guys and drop it in the comments for this video so that everyone can access those easily, inshallah.
Excellent. And I don't know if we're coming to our end, but I just want to just share what the pack is. I did find a write-up on that. It just reads simply that, and some of the backstory to this, it was actually after that address, they were going to the office before they were leaving, and Kiara turned to the imam and said she wanted to make a pact. And the imam said that the pact, in the name of the one God, to work unceasingly for peace and unity. And so that's basically the pact, that as faith communities following the best of our religion, we're going to agree to work with each other for peace and unity. And we know it's in the life example of the Prophet, praise and peace be upon him. They had pacts, they had agreements with tribes and different communities back then. And so we have to continue that tradition, not just as a community of Muhammad, but also a community following the model human Prophet Muhammad, praise and peace be upon him.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming on today. It was such a blessing to have you. I'm going to ask, do we have any questions from the audience? If we do, they should come up in the comments section.
Assalamualaikum. I don't see any questions right now.
Okay. Well, thank you both, Imam Mujahideen and Sister Marsha, for joining us today and sharing all of these opportunities for us. It's so exciting, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what comes from our efforts to continue the legacy of this partnership between our community and the Folklore movement community.
Thank you for having us.
I got two surprises. I can't leave without these two surprises.
Okay.
One surprise is we've been blessed. We're going to be down in Houston this weekend for the 60th anniversary of the MSA National, Muslim Student Association National. We do have some tickets. So we've got some tickets we want to compliment to you and your community there. We have about, I think, 4 tickets. It's going to be on Saturday night at the University of Houston, I believe. So we invite you to be our guests. We'll be there, myself, Marsha, and a few others will be down there. So we welcome you to join us if you're interested. And then the other one is that we just got this information from the Next Now group. So this is a tentative date of us going to Rome. We're going back to Rome. They're having an interfaith convention in Rome, May 31st to June 6th. So there's more information to come with that. We'll keep in touch with you all to give you that information, to be a part of that delegation, inshallah.
Jazakallahu khair for those surprises. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh. May Allah.
We comes with gifts.
And if you're interested in coming to the MSA National 60th Gala, just reach out so that we know whose names to put on the seats. But we'll be there, and like Imam Mujahideen said, we have at least 4 seats. So let us know.
Alhamdulillah. So if you're interested, the newfreedomworks@gmail.com is in the comments section. You can reach out and express interest to attend the U of H program, or to plug into any of these opportunities that Imam Mujahideen and Sister Marsha has mentioned.
And the ticket is free, just in case that didn't come across clearly.
MashaAllah.
You'll be our guest. We were gifted. We were a part. Actually, one of our initiatives under New Freedom Works is called the HBCU MSA Coalition, and so Marsha is representing us on the national MSA National Board as our representative, and so we're part of collaborate on that level as well, right? We have our interfaith. We also have to have our intrafaith. We have to build these bonds and relationship between different Muslim communities as well, especially the younger generation. Allah has blessed our community to carry over, even when Imam Muhammad went to Umrah with the MSA back in the 60s, and so that legacy continues with us as well.
MashaAllah. This is so exciting. Thank you guys so much for all of the work that you do. And may Allah bless you in all of the work that you do, inshallah.
Inshallah. And you also, alhamdulillah.
Jazakallahu khair. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And we hope you enjoyed the program. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum. Please stay tuned for the announcements. Please join us every Friday, virtual Kupa, live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Also, in person, Juma is available. Khutbah is at 1:30. Salat is at 2 p.m. Become one of the 100 believers to commit to donating just $50 per month. Snap the QR code or go to tinyurl.com/WDM100 for 50. In-person Juma is available at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran. Khutbah is at 1:30. Salat is at 2. And the second khutbah is at 2:15. The Merciful 313, snap the QR code and have a recurring $30 donated to the Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran, or go to tinyurl/mercy313. Taleem/public address live stream every Sunday at 1:30. You can go to our Facebook, YouTube, or go to the Masjid Al-Quran Facebook. Your zakat and donations are needed. Ways to donate: go to the website www.wdmuhammad.com or go to Zelle, PayPal, or Cash App. Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran. Your zakat and donations are needed. Ways to donate: go to www.mercycc.org/donation. Muslima Nights, sisters only, Muslim sisters only. You can email muslimanights@gmail.com, and it's for 13 to 30-year-old sisters. New Muslim orientation classes. For more information, call 713-385-1215 or email elijah@masjidwdmuhammad.com. About our Sisters Halakha every second and fourth Saturday at 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. and it's women only. Go to www.bowdersisters.com. The Imam Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center fundraiser donor wall. Go to tinyurl/MWDM donor wall. That concludes our announcements. I have one more announcement. We have the 20 years of shared leadership. Get your tickets now. Single tickets are $50. Tables are available for $500, and you can get them at tinyurl.com/MWDM 20 years. It's limited seating, so get your ticket now for October the 21st, 2023. That concludes our announcements. Assalamu alaikum.